Since I've been, like, screwing around with ideas that sort of contradict classical mathematical ideas. Sort of. It's like philosophical contradictions. It's not really, like, consequential contradictions, I don't think. Um, I thought maybe it was a good time to actually, like, take a look at set theory, the alleged foundation of mathematics, right?
Zermelo Fraenkel set theory.
Right. I've never really looked at it in any detail before. I've never, like, whatever, studied it or gotten good at reading or using it. Vaguely familiar with it just from passing exposure. Yeah. I find it interesting that it's claimed to be the foundation of mathematics, since it is far, far, far newer than mathematics. Oh, well, that's what happens when you have people like Bertrand Russell working on shit. You get claims that don't make any fucking sense. Anyway, yeah, I find it interesting. So I was looking at the axioms, right? Um, and I found it interesting that the formal language of of this set theory um, requires a whole bunch of concepts that are not considered to be axioms of this theory. Like, wait, but the definitions of the vocabulary of your formal language are also axioms of your. What are you doing? Anyway, so I was looking at if and only if as a particularly fun example of something that's weird. Um, because in English, if and only if is identical to only if. And about half the time, that's identical to if, right? So if I say something like, she'll eat the fruit if it's an apple, that can mean she'll eat the fruit only if it's an apple. It can mean that. A lot of the time it's used, it's gonna mean that. And it's reasonable to assume that that's what it means in natural, ordinary English. So, if and only if in normal English reduces to only if. Because about half the time they're the same anyway. And when they're different in English, the difference of the only if overrides, because if is included anyway. So you could just say only if, right? So I found this on the Wikipedia page about it. I found this interesting. It claims, where is it? It is controversial whether the connective thus defined is properly rendered by the English if and only if. How the fuck is it controversial? The only way it could possibly be controversial is if you don't understand how to speak English. Right? I understand that the if and only if thing is logical if, logical and, logical only if put together. I get that. But that's not how English works. Right? She'll eat the fruit if it's an apple. That means only if. With that intonation, it unambiguously means only if. She will only eat the fruit if it's an apple. But that's not a guarantee that she'll eat it. It's only all that it's saying is that, well, if it's a banana, she's not going to eat it for sure. If it's a grapefruit, she's not going to eat it for sure. If it's an apple, she might eat it, but that's the only kind of fruit that she would eat. That's what that means in English, right? And you know, if you say she'll eat the fruit if it's an apple, it means the same thing. But then there's like some example sentences down here using this, right? Distinction from if and only if. Madison will eat the fruit if it is an apple. And then they allege that only if Madison will eat the fruit can it be an apple. Or Madison will eat the fruit implies that the fruit is an apple. It's kind of right, except it can also mean. Well, yeah, okay, so it's the second one. Yeah. So they're actually like admitting that it has this sort of only if thing. Or wait, no, I read that wrong. Anyway, yeah. So only if Madison will eat the fruit can it be an apple. So what that means is if the child or person or whoever the hell Madison is, probably a 90-year-old man, who knows, um, is willing to eat this fruit, then it must be an apple. Or it might be an apple. Wait. Yeah. No, so this is like so far diverged from natural English that I'm actually getting confused as fuck right now. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Madison will eat the fruit only if it is an apple. Now, so, okay. We're requiring that it be an apple in order for Madison to eat it. Okay. But Madison will eat the fruit if it is an apple. Can have that meaning. And they're claiming that it doesn't. They're claiming that it has a different meaning. It can have that different meaning. That's true. But it can also have the only if meaning. And then down here we have Madison will eat the fruit if and only if it is an apple. So this means that if Madison is willing to eat the fruit, then the fruit must be an apple. And if the fruit is an apple, then she will eat it. No, that's not what this means in English. Madison will eat the fruit if and only if it is an apple. Does not mean that. It doesn't mean that she's guaranteed to eat it. Yeah, so that's what they're claiming if means. That it being an apple guarantees she will eat it. That's not how that works in English. So the whole thing there shouldn't be any controversy over whether if and only if is properly rendered in English because it's fucking not. It just isn't. It's very confusing because huh? That's not what that means in English. Um and then there's some other ones like some alternatives. Q is necessary and sufficient for P. So doesn't that just mean that they're the same thing? Which is still not what this should mean. P is equivalent to Q, which that's yeah. So P is Q. Why aren't we just saying that? Why aren't we just saying P equals Q? P is the same thing as Q. P is identical to Q. Why aren't we? Why do we need a whole new thing for this? Why do we need? I don't know. And I kind of like the IFF, the if for this because if and only if it's painfully long. It doesn't in English. It doesn't mean what they're claiming it means. IFF is it's just elegant. It's nice. But then it says, some authors regard IFF if as unsuitable in formal writing, while others consider it a borderline case and tolerate its use. I think it's really nice. I think it's elegant. If you're going to be trying to do things with this, that's a really nice way to write it. I don't know. I'm kind of disagreeing on sort of all of the things here, but it's like philosophical disagreement. Like, meh. Because if you're doing formal logic, then when you're saying if and only if you're writing it that way, you're not writing in English anyway. You're writing in fucking jargon speak. It's so does it? It doesn't matter if it's rendered correctly in English, but the fact there's any sort of controversy over whether it is rendered correctly in English is bullshit because it's not. It just isn't. 100%, it's not. Anybody who feels this is controversial doesn't speak English. They don't understand how to speak English correctly. Like, as an actual native English speaker, not as, like, proper you know, prescriptivist English. But English as, like, how a human being would fucking use the language. It's what the fuck? So, yeah, it's as rendered as if and only if is confusing to me because if is contained within only if, and half of the time it's synonymous with only if. So it's like saying a bottle of alcohol and a bottle of beer. Okay, so 2 bottles of alcohol? Or maybe 2 bottles of beer? Like, why not just say it that way? Why are we saying it the stupid way? Like, that's what it is in English. Like, I don't know, whatever. Yeah. But also, I don't know. I feel like we need to be recognizing that there's axioms at play here that allow us to define this thing in the first place, and we're just kind of glossing over that. We're like, this isn't part of math. But how do you get there? How do you write out your axioms in the formal language if the formal language isn't defined by axioms? Like, you need a ground floor, and you don't have one here. Which is, what? What the fuck? The whole thing is just confusing to me. Yeah.